All right, welcome to today's webinar. Zach, you're gonna go to the next slide. So welcome to today's webinar on utilizing the power of Google Analytics to capture better first-party data and optimize content performance. That sounds like a mouthful. In other words, we're gonna show you why and how to use some new free data tools from the Google News Initiative to help measure your content performance. We are all content publishers, from personal blog posts to national publications with millions of readers. We all want to know how our content is performing. Should we write on a specific topic? Does length matter? How can we engage our readers more? At the end of this webinar, you will know where to get free content measurement tools from Google, how to use the news tagging guide, and how to measure your content performance with reporting tools. Next slide. So some housekeeping. You may have noticed you're muted, but please put your comments and questions in the questions box. At the end of our training session, we will have a question and answer period, and any additional questions that we don't cover can be emailed to wecanhelp@adswerve.com. Next slide. At AdSwerve, we have the analytics and media experience from many different industries. We have helped many organizations see the story in their data and glean insights from their marketing efforts. We're all obsessed with using Google tools to bring life to data. Next slide. The Google News Initiative partnered with AdSwerve because we're an industry leader with analytics and media consulting. We understand the challenges that marketers face, and we are leaders at solving them. Next slide. Working with the team was fun and challenging to find a balance of easy and effective ways of helping content producers measure their success. We have part of that amazing team here today to present. Up first, we have Val from the Google News Initiative. He'll introduce the new Google measurement tools. Then we'll hear from Lily, who will cover the thought behind publisher-specific analytics. And then we'll have Zach that will show us how easy it is to implement video measurement on your website. I'm Brian, by the way. Next slide. As I mentioned, we're going to learn about some awesome new free tools that the Google News Initiative and AdSwerve have partnered to create. We have put a lot of thought and effort into how best to measure content performance and making it easy to implement. At AdSwerve, we are even a content publisher. We have our own resource and insight library where we share our experts' thoughts on industry topics. We're going to show you the news tagging guide and how we have implemented it with our own content to help us create better content for our readers. And now I'll pass it to Val to introduce the Google News Initiative tools.
All right. Hi, everyone. Hope you're all safe and well. My name is Valentin Cornez, and I'm the co-founder of the Google Insights tool that we'll discuss today. In this section, I'll give you a bit more context on the tools and the data frameworks that we've created. But first of all, let's start with the following news business breakdown. For a long time, news publishers have built their business model with revenue coming from the advertising partnership, like display and video ads on their sites. Lately, we started to see more and more publishers launching video revenue models, which include subscription, contribution, affiliation, to diversify their revenue streams. And to develop these models, they've been optimizing key areas, like their ad strategy, trying to maximize the value of each ad impressions, or their pricing and packaging offering for their subscription and membership businesses. But when you think of it, to truly achieve long-term revenue growth, it all comes back to a few fundamental metrics. Publishers need to grow their ad impressions and page views in order to get more advertising inventory, and build loyalty and emotion to get their audiences to convert. All these metrics are a result of one common topic: reader engagement. And by reader engagement, what I'm truly talking about is visit frequency and visit depth. Reader engagement is the cornerstone of how our team is supporting news publishers. So how do we help? Well, we've built a series of free tools to help publishers grow reader engagement by turning data into actionable recommendation. we built News Tagging Guide, NTG, which allows publishers to maximize the value of Google Analytics and optimize data collection. We also build real-time content insight, which helps newsroom make better decisions for their content creation and distribution strategies. And finally, News Consumer Insights, NCI, which aims at helping news and magazine publishers grow loyalty and subscription overall. You can access our product offering on goo.gle/datatools. Since we launched our tool, we've had more than 600 ongoing partnerships with publishers all over the world. We've covered many topics like page speed, newsletter acquisition strategies, recirculation, subscription, video, etc., etc. A lot of topics. To learn more about the work and what we've been working on with our partners, I invite you to check out our case studies once again on the site goo.gle/datatools. But let's deep dive. So what is News Tagging Guide? That's our first tool. NTG was created to help news publishers make the most of GA, Google Analytics, by defining engagement metrics that matter for audience and revenue growth. This free tool allows news organizations to easily identify the most important audience engagement metrics to measure, simplify technical implementation, because NTG technically generates tags that you can just copy paste on your site, and unlock new audience insights from GA and from our other tools. We know that GA is a very powerful analytical tool, but it has not been customized for news and magazine publication. So News Tagging Guide solves that gap. This is also a great opportunity to break down data silos and get your organization on a path to a more collaborative, data-driven culture. With this tool, we expect marketing teams to be able to identify user behaviors to track based on their KPI, for example, subscription or engagement. We expect product teams to just be able to copy paste the pieces of code in the HTML to start collecting this data. And finally, business intelligence team, who will focus on generating insights for marketing team with the new data collected in GA. So how does News Tagging Guide work with our other solution? Well, it's quite simple. Once, as a publisher, you copy paste the tag on your site, you start collecting this data in GA. So what we'll do is we'll digest and transform this data into insight and business recommendation in our other tools, News Consumer Insight and Real-Time Content Insights. So later in this webinar, we'll actually do a live demo of how this data will look like in our other reports. So since we launched our tools, we've seen many publishers who started to take advantage of NTG, News Tagging Guide, and our other data tools, including Lee Enterprises. They've basically were able to better understand reader engagement and prioritize business opportunities for video, engagement conversion, and on-site subscription. So I let Lily take it from there to showcase the type of behaviors you'll be able to measure with News Tagging Guide. So over to Lily.
Awesome, thanks, Val. Awesome. So our approach in building the News Tagging Guide, or NTG, is to make it as simple as possible to understand how users are interacting with your content so that you can focus on giving the users what they want. So next slide. So the News Tagging Guide will provide you with a publisher-specific analytics structure, starting with an industry standard framework that comes with an almost effortless and technical lift for an easy and quick analytics implementation to get you started on your core data collection. This Google Analytics data model is also focused on data integrity, so that ensures that you are measuring and reporting on accurate and correct data. You'll be seeing the data you want to see in Google Analytics to answer all of your core business questions. You'll also be able to access actionable insights and quickly make effective business decisions for your site and its content when you couple NTG with the News Consumer Insights, or NCI. So next slide. Awesome. So we've broken up the content interactions into three main categories in NTG. The first being user engagement. So the set of data points will measure how readers are engaging with your content and its marketing channels to generate insights on how to grow brand loyalty amongst your users. The second set of data points is reader revenue. So in tandem with understanding user engagement, we'll want to measure and maximize the performance of your business goals and overall conversion strategy. And lastly, of course, we have video analytics. So these data points will measure the impact of your video content across the user consumption. Next slide. Now we'll demonstrate some of the events that we've implemented on our site using the news tagging guide's instructions. So for a blog page like this, I would like to see if the user shares my article or this article to any social platform. So you're seeing the social sharing event here as Zach is demoing. You can see the hit send out to Google Analytics using the AdSwerve Data Inspector Plus Chrome extension, or you can also see it firing from the Google Tag Manager preview mode at the bottom of the page. I'd like to also know if the user completes this whole article. So now we've also implemented the article scroll depth events, as you can see here in quartiles, measuring if the user actually completes the whole article. And I want to measure when the user sees this newsletter sign up prompt, as well as when the user actually signs up for the newsletter. So now we've implemented the sign up prompt impression as well as the newsletter sign up. Awesome. Let's pop over to Google Analytics to see these hits coming through in real time. So we can see in real-time reporting, it's successfully populating the NTG event data. Now I'll pass it off to Zach to speak more on analytics for video.
Perfect, thank you, Lily. Now on to the video analytics portion. Today I'm going to show you what values really drive NTG's video measurement tool. I'm also going to talk about what platforms and events are covered by it. And I'm also going to demo for you how quick it is to implement this tool on your website. So what we've built here, what this tool does is it provides you key event metrics that give you insight into your users' interests and engagement around video media. So this way you can make better decisions about the content that you present. Now, what really drives this tool, our goals for the video analytics portion, those are in line with NTG as a whole. Ultimately, we wanted to give you an analytics framework that provides the most amount of value with the least amount of effort, so that you can focus on doing what you do best, and that's offering great content to your users and keep them coming back again and again. So when developing this tool, we wanted to provide something that first and foremost, measured the engagement of your video content. It's obviously important to know what videos are really hooking people and keeping them coming back. After that, we wanted to be able to see how your video content connects to your offering at large. So by using this product, you get instant integration into Google's News Consumer Insights and the real-time content insights that provide you several dashboards where you can get a feel for how your users are looking at your offering on the whole. So we're actually going to take a look at those later. We also wanted something that was versatile, so something that works in both mobile and desktop environments. I remember when we were building this, I often came back to the analogy, if this were a car, it would be a Jeep. We want it to be able to drive anywhere. And then finally, we wanted this to be easy to implement. As you'll see here in the demo that I'm about to do, we wanted to get this as close to copy and paste as possible. This is because we understand that programming resources aren't widely available in every organization. So we wanted to make this as clear and simple as possible to get you up and running quickly. So we did quite a bit of research before jumping in, and we found the most popular video platforms on the internet. We came up with a short list here of 7 platforms that we estimate capture upwards of 90% of all videos on the internet. We came up with that number from madewith.com, in case you want to take a look at that. Of course, you're going to find our favorite Google brands, YouTube and Envato, but you're also going to see popular brands Vimeo, JW Player, Video.js, Brightcove, and HTML5 standard. So consistently across all these platforms, you're going to be able to measure events that give you an idea as to user engagement across your video media. So you'll see here in this demo that we have on our website, we have a player loaded event for every time a video loads on a page. And we have 3 different play events. We'll have the initial click to play, autoplay, and resume. Initial click to play is obviously when a user initiates that first play. Autoplay is when it starts by itself, and resume is when a user pauses the video and then plays again. We get a resume. So we also have pause events. We have seek events. We have quartile milestones. So when a user reaches the 25% mark, watch through 50% and 75%. We have mute and unmute events. We have full screen, and we have complete. So using all those events, you can get a stronger feel for how your users are viewing your video content. And you can ask yourself questions like, what videos are bringing people to our site? What are people actually watching all the way through? Should we put this on our front page? Should we be spending more or less on this type of content? So now I'm going to move on to the demo portion of our webinar today. We're going to go over to the GNI data tools here. And this is on Google News Initiative's website. All tools here, we have the news tagging guide, news consumer insights, and real-time content insights. I am going to go into the news tagging guide here. And I'm presented with a spot here where I first initially need to choose the platform in which I'm hosting my analytics implementation. So today for the demo, we're going to be doing this in Google Tag Manager. And then I need to input my Google Analytics property ID here. And then scrolling down, you'll see that we have 3 options. We have, of course, the video analytics, user engagement, and read revenue. These 2 Lily just covered. I'm going to select video analytics. And I'm presented with all the different types of video platforms here. Today we're going to be doing YouTube. And all I need to do is click copy code. I'm going to go over to my Google Tag Manager implementation over here. I'm going to create a new tag. And this is going to be a custom HTML tag. All we need to do is paste. And I'm going to set this to trigger on every page. Now, this will not, this will look for videos on every page, but it will only send hits out if it detects a video on that page. So it's not going to be using resources if it does not detect a video on the page. So I'll save that. And then we'll go over to our practice session here. So this is that blog page that Lily and I were just covering. And now when I play the video, I'm seeing the events here go through to Google Analytics. So let's just confirm that those are coming to our property. And I can see here in TG video, initial click to play. Oh, there they all are. Cool. So now you know how to set it up in Google Tag Manager. You understand what we were thinking when we put this tool together, who it's targeted for. And hopefully, now that you're here, you can get started with this. So I'm going to pass it off back to Val, who is going to talk about news NCI and RCI. Val?
Thanks a lot. I should be able to present my screen in a few seconds. And
there you go.
There you go. Wonderful. So thanks again, Lily and Zach, for showcasing a news tagging guide, and especially the different components that you can track with this tool. So coming back to that landing page of our different product offerings, news tagging guide, once again, is all about optimizing your data collection, making sure that you are tracking or measuring behaviors that matter as a news publisher. Now it's the first step. It's the first step because now that you have the data, what do you do with that data? Obviously, you can analyze the data in GA directly and build custom reports. But what we've done is as I mentioned earlier, we've transformed that data into insight and business recommendations in our other tools. So I'm going to show you how those two works, and hopefully it will make even more sense when I do the live demo. So let's start with News Consumer Insight. So first thing I would say about News Consumer Insight, once again, it's free. It's an intelligent dashboard that we built for news publishers to be able to help them optimize that reader funnel, so bring more loyalty on their site and transform basically those more engaged users into consumers, making sure that you can generate reader revenue from your most engaged audience. So how does it work? Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to authorize the tool to access your analytics data. And then you need to select your geo account, your specific geo account. Once it's done, you will notice that on the top left-hand corner, you have 4 sections: actionable recommendation, reader engagement, reader revenue, and video insight. So let's take a look at actionable recommendation, which is the home page and really the most important page of the report. On the top of the page, we introduce the concept of funnel. It's very important to us. Publishers, news publishers need to behave as e-commerce players, and they need to have that funnel concept in mind. So we define this funnel as it is: casual readers, loyal readers, and brand lovers. A casual reader is someone who's been once on the site over the last 30 days. Loyal reader is someone who's been between 2 and 14 times on the site over the last 30 days. And brand lover, someone who's been more than 15 times on the site over the last 30 days. So that first section of the report will tell you exactly how many readers you get in each bucket, but more importantly, you will understand the value they're going to provide to your business in terms of page views and ad revenue. So very quickly, you will notice that the end of funnel is where the value is. For example, for that publisher, and by the way, this is demo data, the brand lovers represent only 1% of the audience, and they generate 20% of the page views and 20% of the ad revenue. So a very small fraction, but a lot of value. So this reinforces this idea that you need to optimize your funnel. You need to get your users down the funnel. So the question becomes how to do so. How can you actually optimize your funnel? Well, this is where we have a crispy section. The power of this tool is it's an intelligent dashboard. It has a decision engine that automatically digests your data, your Google Analytics data, and will identify opportunities to optimize that funnel. So we're going to pull a certain number of recommendations to optimize your reader engagement. This number here is dynamic. For that publisher, it's going to be 8 recommendations. If you scroll down, this is how it looks like. So we have a certain number of recommendations. So in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Each recommendation covers a specific topic to optimize reader engagement. So for example, here, newsletter. So how can you actually use newsletters to bring more loyalty from your users? How can you engage in a better way with users via newsletter channel? And more importantly, how can you get your users to subscribe to your newsletter? So we're not only telling you that you should focus on this topic, but we give you actually best practices and things that you can do tomorrow to optimize that specific funnel, that specific channel. So for example, for newsletter, it's going to be all about the visibility and the position of your sign-up box right on the page. It has to be visible within your article or at the end of your article. It's very important. It has to be there on all your article pages. It's also making sure that you have a great user experience for that sign-up. So reducing friction by having only one sign-up field and having the autofill on. Your users just need to click on that field, and the email will auto-populate, and they will just click on sign-up. The look and feel is also important. You need to create contrast to drive the user's attention on this specific section. Probably on the site, on the news site, the newsletter sign-up section is the most important section on the page. That's what we really want the users to do, since the newsletter channel is the most valuable channel in industry from an acquisition point of view. Personalizing the message is not only about asking users to sign up for a newsletter, it's to tell them why they should sign up. So what's the value proposition here? Why, like, what they're gonna get if they sign up to the newsletter, like getting the best updates in the local news, stay in touch with the news, etc. Those are very interesting taglines to use. Obviously, you will want to use your values and the tone of your site to adapt that tagline and that messaging. For that type of recommendation, for each recommendation, you will notice that we have a learn more button. So all you have to do here, if you're interested in that specific topic, is to click on that button, and will redirect you directly to the specific playbook chapter for that section. So newsletter will have a full chapter on newsletter with that following structure, the reason why you should focus on that topic, again, the best practices. If you go down, you will notice additional comments and observation, things that you should care about. But more importantly, you will notice best-in-class examples. So very interesting optimization that you could implement on your site. So coming back to the first page, this is how it works. So we'll pull again those different recommendations automatically based on your GA data. And this by default will help you optimize your reader funnel. But that's not it. There are other things that we want to help you on. The reader revenue. So now that you have optimized your funnel, what do you do? How can you get more revenue from your readers, right? So it's all about making sure that you're optimizing or setting up the right reader revenue model. And in that case, we also have a series of recommendations that could be interesting for you. So for example, for subscription, you could check our best practices to optimize your subscription landing page. There are a lot of things to consider to get users to actually click on your subscription packages, and most of them are there. We don't have all the solutions there, but there are cool best practices that you should definitely test. Finally, at the end of the page, you will notice a third section, which is our recommendation to collect better data, and which brings me back to news tagging guide. News tagging guide, it's all about making sure that you are identifying the right behaviors to track. And here in NCI, we tell you, okay, so these are the behaviors you really want to track if you want to maximize the value of News Consumer Insight report. By default, the report will give you access to specific insights and recommendations for you based on your basic GA data. But if you start implementing NTG tags, you will access more reports and more insights and recommendations. So let's take a look at examples of things that you will get if you implement NTG tags on your site. So for this, I'm going to go on my second page, which is reader engagement. In this page, what we do is we deep dive into your audiences. We're going to give you more information about how your readers are actually consuming content on your site, where they're coming from, and you'll be able to compare different audiences and the way they engage with your site. So we'll give you, for example, here for each audience segment, the average profile of your readers, right? So for example, for this site, it looks like the average reader is a female, 25 to 35 years old, coming from mobile and Facebook. Very simple information, but it's interesting when you start comparing this with the last part of this dashboard. You might notice that the device changes, the age group changes as well, so it might reflect some kind of like a marketing strategy that you have or that you should have. If you go down, here's where it gets interesting. So again, by default, you will access those metrics, but there are a few metrics that you won't be able to access if you don't implement NTG tags. I'm talking about, for example, the ad block rate. You will need to implement the NTG ad block feature to be able to unlock that information. Same for scroll depth. Lily was mentioning this idea of making sure that you're capturing the data when users are scrolling down the page. Will give you the average scroll depth per audience segment if you do so. Once again, because you will have implemented our own tags and will be able to recognize that data in your GA account. Same here, another source of information. This module will appear if you implement the NTG tag for social. If you start tracking social shares with NTG, will give you an estimation of how many readers are actually sharing on social. Very few examples like that in the dashboard. One I really want to showcase today is the video insight report. That specific page, that specific section will be very valuable, obviously, for publishers who have video content on their sites. It's going to be unlocked only if you implement the NTG video tag. So remember what Zach mentioned earlier, there's that one tag that you can implement on your site. As soon as you implement that tag, you'll be able to unlock that full report. And this is what the report is about. So again, this idea of funnel, casual readers, loyal readers, and brand lovers. This time, what we'll do is we'll showcase the consumption of videos on your site across these different audiences. So we'll tell you how many videos started for casual readers, how many videos were completed from your brand lovers, the completion rates, more importantly, the drop-off, how users are actually completing those videos. If you scroll down, will tell you the impact of having a video content on your site on your user engagement. We've noticed that it's a big question from the industry. Like those video players on the page, are they actually positive for the business? Are they getting the users to stay longer or come back more often? We'll give you kind of like a snapshot of the comparison between your different users, right? Those who are consuming video via click to play, via autoplay, or those who have not consumed any videos. And you will notice that sometimes video strategy, and actually most of the time, is having a positive impact on your user engagement overall, on loyalty. If you scroll down, we'll go even deeper. We'll tell you how your readers are actually starting your videos. We'll give you tips on how you can get your readers to start more videos, because we've noticed that it's a very important topic. If they start more videos, you create more alimentary pre-roll ads, and you need them to start there. And on top of this, we'll have noticed that there is a better user engagement overall from those readers. So you really need to start working on this. There are a few components to get there. It's all about making sure that you're optimizing your video player presence, the location of that video player, the type of start that you are pushing to users. Is it click to play or autoplay? And more importantly, the number of videos consumed per user. Based on the insights you will get from that report, you can actually visit the specific recommendation for that topic. So all you have to do is to click on that button. There are those kind of buttons all around the report, and it will drive you back to the first page with the recommendation that is linked to the insights you will collect there. So you will see how can you get your users to start more videos, and how to get your readers to complete more videos. So we have a few best practices there to implement. So that was NCI. Sorry, it's a lot to digest. I would really invite you to take a look at this. A lot of live demo data. You can get familiar with the content and ask us questions later on if you want. News consumer insight has been built to help publishers to once again grow loyalty and increase profitability from readers. And it's to be able to turn that data into those recommendations automatically. Now, coming back to our landing page. So we've talked about news tagging guide, we've talked about news consumer insights. Now let's talk about real-time content insight. This time, real-time content insight is for journalists. It's technically for editorial teams who want to make better content distribution and creation decisions. They're transforming data into cool report and insights for journalists in general. So this is how it looks like. Sorry, my screen is a bit small, hopefully. I'm going to make it a bit bigger. Yeah, here we go. No, up, here we go. So this is real-time content insight. Similar to NCI, RCI has been built with simplicity in mind. The whole point here is to be able, just by one click, to access cool reports. So first thing you need to do is to authorize the tool to access your data as well, and then select your specific Google Analytics accounts you have access to. Once it's done, the whole report, all the reports will populate based on your data. On the top left-hand corner, you will notice 4 sections: real-time article performance, real-time video performance, historic performance, and trends in your region. So let's take a look at real-time article performance. Here, what we do is we want to help you identify the top trending articles in real time. So we'll automatically pull from your Google Analytics account data related to that specific topic. At the top of the page, you will notice those visual. Those are the top 5 articles that are trending right now. We'll automatically pull images for those articles. And even better, you can use the newsroom view feature. If you click on that feature, you'll be able to display in real time your top articles on a big screen for your journalists. It's pretty cool. Usually we've seen a lot of positive feedback there from publishers. It gets journalists excited about the content and love the competition there. So please take a look, and if you have like screens available, you should definitely give it a try. If you go down on that page, you will notice the same type of information, but this time obviously text to make it easier to digest. So you will notice the top trending articles in real time based on real-time readers. We also share the number of pages over the last 30 minutes. And here you will start recognizing those small icons. So at that point, we're going to give you information about if those articles are bringing more casual readers or loyal readers, or if those articles are pushing users to stay on the site more than average on the site. And finally, the average page speed, is it higher or lower compared to the average on the site? So this is going to be very valuable just to clearly identify opportunities, right? And if the content that you've created is resonating with your readers and is actually following your content strategy. So let's take a look at one of those articles. Just by clicking on that very simple line, you will see the details for that specific article. As a journalist, I'll be able to understand where those users are coming from, right? From a country, region, and city point of view. If you're a local site, it's interesting because you'll be able to see if that specific city is resonating with if that specific article is resonating with a specific city. You'll also be able to see where those users are coming from, right? From a referral point of view. Are those articles trending on social or via your newsletter? And this could impact potentially your distribution strategy. If you see that an article is trending on Facebook, why not making some noise on Twitter, all right? Something else more important is, once again, this idea of making sure that you understand the value of those articles. If those articles are being consumed on desktop or mobile, if those articles are pushing for recirculation or for loyalty. And here I want to drive your attention to that specific module, the scroll depth, right? And similar to NCI, this is the one thing that you won't get from scratch if you connect to the site. You will need to implement the NTG scroll depth tag to be able to see for each article the drop down, right? And that's pretty cool when you think of it. If you are able to see in real time, I mean, like for the daily with the daily data, if you're able to see how users are actually consuming the specific article and how they're dropping down, that could be very helpful to actually adapt your product strategy on the go. For example, asking your editorial team to add a recirculation widget after a certain number of pixels because people are actually leaving the articles anyway. You could consider actually changing the structure of your article to make users stay a bit longer. So this is kind of the value we try to identify here for journalists. So this is the data for a specific article. It gets even more interesting when you start comparing this data with the average on the site. So on the right-hand side, you will see the data for the whole site, and you'll be able to compare how your articles are performing, specific articles are performing compared to the average on the site. So this is, by default, you will access to that report minus a few metrics. This second section is real-time video performance, and I'm sure it's not a surprise. It won't be available. It won't be available by default. You will need to implement this NTG video tag, and since as soon as you actually implement that tag, you'll be able to see in real time your real-time video performance. So your top trending videos on your site, on your ONOs. So same approach here. We will tell you things like where your watchers are coming from, the referral sources, if it's driving more casual and loyal readers. Things very related to video players like the unmute rate and the full screen rate. Those are very positive engagement metrics that we want to showcase here. Technically, if you see a very good unmute rate compared to the average on the site here, it's a good sign. It means that users are engaged and this content is very valuable. It will get users to come back. And here, similar to the scroll depth, you will see the completion rates and how the users are actually consuming the videos on the site, on that specific video. Scrolling down, if you go to the next section, historic performance, this is much more like long-term strategy. So the first few pages where it's all about real time and checking in real time what's trending on the site, whether it's an article or video. This time we look at historic performance. We look at the last 30 days. And the whole point of that report is to showcase in the long term what articles actually brought value, who did bring value to your site overall. We know that by default, publishers, they like to look at page views to showcase like successful articles. We all know it's not the best metric, but it's already a good metric from an advertising and engagement point of view. Well, there are other things that you should consider. And for that, we've built a score or a rank called the content engagement rank. What we do is we assign a rank for articles based on 3 metrics. Page views, so we come back to this idea of page views because it's still a good indicator. Loyalty, so if this article is bringing more loyal readers. And finally, recirculation, so if that article is pushing users to stay a bit longer. So technically, if you get users to stay longer or come back more often, those are valuable articles, and you should potentially look at what you're doing there and if you can make more of these potentially. So you will have that rank, that content engagement rank based on those 3 simple metrics, and you'll be able to compare that rank with the page view rank, right? We're not saying that you should always forget page view rank. It's a good indicator, but it's interesting to compare, right? And you will see sometimes that some articles will be pushed higher on the ranking with the content engagement rank because you have better engagement metrics there. So that's by default, you will get access to that report. Coming back to NTG, if you implement a few components from NTG, I'm going to show you, I'm talking about, for example, newsletter. So Lily was mentioning like how you can track newsletter sign up with NTG. If you implement that specific feature, we'll be able to showcase the newsletter sign up rate for that article over the last 30 days. Same for social sharing rates, same for comment rates, same for affiliation click rates. And we'll take these into account to recalculate our content engagement rank. So we're going to make this score more powerful and hopefully more valuable for you. You'll be able to take into account all those type of impacts and to really showcase valuable articles for your business or for your publication. Finally, we won't spend too much time on that last section. This is the trends in your region section, which is technically the page where we try to highlight what's trending in the region, as the title says. We put automatically information from Google Trends, and we'll showcase for your specific location the interesting stories and trends available. You'll be able to also select a specific category of content that you are interested in, seeing like, for example, sports content, what's trending there, seeing for entertainment, etc., etc. And you'll be able to compare with your top articles, right? So you'll be able to actually identify potential coverage gaps. If you see that there are some trending topics out there and you are not actually covering those, potentially there are things that you might want to consider. Same concept here. This time we automatically pull in the US what's trending on YouTube, and you'll be able to compare with your own videos if you're actually creating content on those specific topics. And that's it. That's it for RCI. Just to close on this, RCI is for journalists or even beyond, like product teams as well. The whole point here is to make sure that your journalists have access to cool reports by default, but once again, if you implement the tags from NTG, you can make those reports even more powerful. So I think I'm done with RCI. Hopefully that was not too much to digest. I'll hand it up to Brian so that you can actually share a bit more information.
Thank you, Val. Thank you, Lily and Zach, for all that info. We hope that your takeaway is how your teams can leverage these new free tools today. So these are available right now. These tools have been created to help your team craft a successful content strategy. Next slide. And now to our question and answer period. Noticing there are no questions currently in the question box, so please enter those if you have any. We can also go through some frequently asked questions, but please put your questions in the chat or the question box if you can figure that out in GoToWebinar. And the next slide. Say you have no questions, you can get started right now. So how do you do that? Just head over to the news taking guide at this goo.gle/datatools, or say you don't, or you have a custom thing that you want to implement. We know a team that can do that. So contact us at AdSwerve. We can help at adswerve.com. And we can help do a custom analytics or custom media kind of thing for your marketing efforts. And now to Q&A. There's one question in here. So from Phil, do we need to use GTM or can you use your own tag manager? You can use your own tag manager. So depending on what that is, whether it's Adobe or any other tag management, Telium, you can use these. There's actually instructions in the tool. So if you go to actually the news tagging guide, there's kind of instructions that are general enough and generic enough. We tried to design these to make sure that they can work across all platforms, all CMSs, and also tag management systems. So this will just kind of give you structure to what kind of data layer push to either send or just the data that you need to send. So you can implement that. The video tracking too was designed to be able to live anywhere, completely platform agnostic. That code that Zach showed can actually just live right directly on your website. It can be in GTM or Telium, and it'll actually just send right to your Google Analytics account. So hopefully that answers your question. This looks great, but all the examples were web. Will this work for apps too? Some of the recommendations absolutely can work for apps. The actual design of the video tracking is something that was JavaScript, and so that's something that's not going to be designed for that. But the recommendations you can try to mimic in an app environment. And this is also not set up for the new app plus web environment, but you could use GTag in your dropdown and choose that, and it should likely work the same way. For this is something you can actually reach out to us. We can offer more of how to help with app plus web at AdSwerve. That's from David, by the way. From Ajay, do I need to send this data into a property in order to be displayed on the dashboard? It doesn't have to be a new property. This can be the same property you've already had. You can actually go and set up your, go to those reports and then go and see what it will turn on today. There's actually some data will feed in there. So you have your page views, you have your sessions, etc. All that stuff will be in there, and you can see what data will show. But to get the full effect, you have to tag it according to the instructions. Then you'll be able to see all the info in the dashboard. But the dashboard will be somewhat complete. Val, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I would say you should definitely use your current GA accounts to create those tags and collect data from it, because afterwards you will need to select that specific GA accounts and to make sense of the whole data, right? The default data and the data that you're going to collect from NTG. I'm not sure it's helping there, but yeah, don't create new properties for those the data collected from those tags.
And this is another question from Phil. Can we add our own data points, like say propensity to subscribe on a 7-day return visitor metric and so on? From my understanding, and Val, correct me if I'm wrong, so the reporting is standard right now. There's not a way to customize this. That is something we at the team at AdSwerve can help you standard, or we'd have to, but it doesn't go into that specific reporting tool. But that could be a feature request for Val and team.
Yeah, so we do have, like in News Consumer Insights, a reader revenue report, which is a report that has been created to help publishers create access insights for subscription, membership, etc. Obviously, the component that you've mentioned is important, propensity, the propensity models. The report is static, so you don't have that much flexibility there. It's all based on a GA goal that you would have created. You won't be able to add your own propensity model, unfortunately. But definitely, that's a custom project for AdSwerve.
Another question from Stefan. Can I access real-time analytics data through an API? So my understanding is actually it is already, that's how those reports are built. It's actually using the reporting API right now. So what Val and team have done have actually built behind the scenes, they're pulling your data in, and then they're actually doing those calculations for you. So there's no direct API. But correct me if I'm wrong, Val, on that.
Yeah, this is exactly what happened. So as you know, there is an API for Google Analytics. There's an API for the real-time Google Analytics. And what we've done for NCI and RCI is we've been pulling the data from those different APIs. So you could directly use our tools because we are actually pulling the data. If you want to do something custom, you can do it yourself as well. You can pull the data from those APIs and create your own dashboard based on your custom needs. I'm sure like AdSwerve would be happy to help there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these tools basically were made to be as simple as possible, out of the box, ready for everyone. But any custom needs, come to us. We can help you. From Jason, can we get the raw data in BigQuery to make our own custom reports? So depending if you're, Google Analytics 360 account, you do have an export from your Google Analytics data right to BigQuery. So this is using that similar data. The data set is actually the same. It's just using that reporting API. And then on the actual reporting side, they're doing that analysis. So if you need your custom analysis, we can help you with the BigQuery side, and we have the same data set. The data is aligned. It's the same from Google Analytics. But there's nothing unique here of saying like that you'd have your custom or your raw data in BigQuery. It's no different. It's the same exact Google Analytics data.
Yeah, I can imagine why you're asking this. I mean, like when you look at news consumer insight and real-time content insights, the first thing that comes to our mind is, oh, I want this, but I want to do it my own way, right? I want to have my own audiences. You have your own funnel, I'm sure. You have your own casual readers, your own loyal readers based on different engagement metrics. We're not here to replace the funnel. Once again, it's a complementary funnel. And once again, if you want to create something similar for your own publication, you can do it, but you will have to work with BigQuery, and we won't be able to adapt our framework there. But at least you'll be able to use the recommendation.
Any other questions? Looks like that may be it. But we do also have part of within the news tagging guide, there's a playbook that was developed that Val kind of demonstrated. It's a PDF, and there's actually a frequently asked question section. We could go through some of that, or I can paste that into the chat here, just so everyone's aware and can find it. Let me just send it. So that's in the chat now. So this is actually the playbook PDF of just frequently asked questions. So kind of standard things. I can go through some of these as well. But otherwise, you can get started right now. Just head on over to that Google/data tools.
Yeah, I think I don't know if we would have time to go over all the FAQ questions, but there are a few things that you really want to take out of this, and you will find this in the FAQ. The fact that all those tools are free. News tagging guide and NCI and RCI are tools that have been built for news publishers, but even if you're not a news publisher, if you're a content creator, you should definitely take a look at those, because a lot of the concepts will apply to you. And yeah, just the one thing is you don't need news tagging guide to use news consumer insight and real-time content insight. You can use it straight away. But once again, news tagging guide is the kind of the foundation for any kind of business strategy. Data strategy is there, so you need to collect the right data to re-amplify the insights and the recommendation from our report and on your own, right? If you want to do custom analysis, you need to access specific behavior data, and that's where NTG kicks in.
All right. Any other questions? All right, well, we can give you some minutes back here. So basically that wraps up our question and answer period. If you do have additional questions that come up, if you think of something after this, please reach out to wecanhelp@adserve.com, and we'll follow up and be able to answer any questions that you do have. Or if there's any custom solutions that you want us to look at, we can absolutely help you out. So hopefully you found benefit in these new free data tools, and you can start using them to measure your content performance. So good luck and happy marketing. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, happy marketing.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot.